wasn't great, was it? Hello, welcome to the Going to Talk back again with you guys for another show. After Arsenal have just lost 1-0 to Manchester City, pretty much as expected. I mean, if anything, many of you thought we would lose by quite a bit more. But I'm not going to sit here and turn around and say that, it was Man City, because I don't think that's fair. I don't think that would be fair at the performance, because if we did lose and we put on a decent display, I might turn around and go, yeah, it's Man City. But quite frankly, what I saw today was pretty darn dreadful. It was poor. It was bad. We're going to get your thoughts in the chat box. We're going to get a chat going. We're going to talk about everything that's happened. We're going to get our thoughts ahead of Benfica, of course, too, for the next 25, 30 minutes or so. So let's crack on with it. How are we doing, chat box? I am interested to hear what you guys are feeling, thinking, saying. Just sum up for me your thoughts about the game. Tell me how you feel. Tell me your thoughts and explanations to why and what we have seen there. Matt G says, I didn't see any desire to win. Robert Jones says, yes, Tom, we finally agree. This team needs to grow a pair. João Lopez, 4 gang in the building. Thank you, everyone who's joining me over from Hugh Wizzy's stream. Of course, we ended a second ago. I wouldn't usually put the show in the Discord, but as we finished, I thought, why not? And if you wanted to carry on the conversation, we're here for it for the next 25 minutes or so. Fubar Gunner says, disappointed by the attitude. Aaron says that thumbnail is positive thinking. Why is it positive thinking? Have I kept it at 1-1? That was frankly dreadful. I didn't think it was positive thinking at all, because I see. I've said that we actually won the game. Oh dearie me. Yeah, that is positive thinking. That is, wow. You can see how desperate I was for Arsenal to win this game. Dearie me, let's quickly change that absolute monstrosity of a thumbnail, because frankly that was dreadful from myself. As if we go into this game thinking we were going to get anything more than what we've seen today. Quickly just changing that. Give me a 2 quick seconds, and that is changed. Oh, an error occurred. Great, fantastic. I love when an error occurs and I can't change anything. Why is there errors occurring? Okay, I can't be asked. It's changed. It might be changed. Goose 1066 says, Hector had just come out and said we always expect to lose against City because they're great. Did he actually come out and say that? Please don't say he come out and said that. If he has, send me a link, because he was terrible. He was the worst man on the pitch by a distance, and has been for a long time. And I've backed the guy. I've supported Bellerin. I've said, fair play. You do what you want to do, like in regards to outside of football. But within football, and when you're playing on the pitch, you need to be given 110% and playing at the top of your game. And frankly, he isn't. And if he starts against Benfica over Cedric, it's indefensible. It's utterly indefensible. He should not be playing at the moment. He's not playing well at all. He's not a bad player. I don't believe Bellerin to be a bad player. He's done plenty of good things at Arsenal. But right now, he is playing utterly, utterly, utterly dreadful. Oh, man. Why is it not letting me change the scoreline? It's so annoying. Why will it not let me change anything to do with this? It's really annoying. StreamYard is really trying to do me over. Why has an error occurred? Why? Why? Just let me change the scoreline. Oh, that's so frustrating. Dave Lennon says, Bellerin has no place in this Arsenal team after this summer. Matt G says, I don't want to hear at least we only lost 1-0. We didn't even seem to try. I'm not going to be coming out with that. I'm not going to be coming out and saying that the result is positive because we only lost by 1 goal, because we didn't look like we wanted to get back into the game. It wasn't a case of, they were hanging on for dear life at 1-0. That certainly was not what we got today. It was absolutely dreadful. Absolutely dreadful. From the start, the fact that Rob Holding can't jump for a header to beat Raheem Sterling, and I've sat here and defended Rob Holding time after time, but that was terrible, and it goes to show you why in the long term he won't be Arsenal's starting right back in the long term. It's just not going to happen. Right now, it's what we've got, along with Luiz, who came on and basically winded Diaz, and that was about all that we got from Luiz during the game. Really, really poor. Luiz will play obviously on Thursday because Holding's got concussion, and there is an amount of time that you have to be out before you can come back in. Jashar Josiah says, "Evening, Tom. I agree with Holding being scapegoated for the goal. Golden Boy KT should never have let Mahrez cut in twice within the first minute. Shocking defending by KT. Sure, KT is at fault for not stopping the cross, but it is not a scapegoat of Holding. From the guy that defends Holding, that has supported Holding, it's not scapegoating him to criticise him in that moment, because how he doesn't jump, how he doesn't challenge Raheem Sterling, a 4'2" winger, for a cross is indefensible. There's nothing to say about that. He should be doing better there. And my God, how bad was the passing? How poor was the passing today? It was utterly dreadful. Utterly dreadful. It's really bugging me that I can't change the scoreline on the thumbnail. It's really, really bugging me. Why can't I change it? Why am I not allowed to change the scoreline, StreamYard? That's really irritating me. If you're watching this on playback, effectively what's happened, because I would have changed this, of course, afterwards. But I can't, for some reason, I've put it down as 1-0 Arsenal because I was that confident. Why? Your broadcast? Yes, I understand the broadcast is already live, but let me change the scoreline. I don't know why I can't change it. It's about as effective as how Arsenal were in this game. Dearie me. What I won't stand for, though, is people obviously turn around like Ingars. What I'll say about Ingars is one of our most negative listeners in the show. So to throw up a comment like that, to say, yes, 11 losses this season, in context of this game, like, is it really? Like, is that really the point that we're going to go for today? It's the mindset. I'm sitting here as a guy that supports Arteta, that backs him, that really wants him to succeed, but is still very grounded in regards to what I think Arsenal can achieve. This isn't the time to go around and say stuff like that. Who thought we were going to be coming out? But the fact is that the performance was terrible. Like, it was really, really poor. The performance was bad. I can't defend that display. I can't sit here and say it was Man City. I can't sit here and say that. It's not fair. It's not okay to sit here. And there should be even the staunchest of Arteta in clan. These people, I don't like labelling it either way. Because in my view, Arteta in stupid. It's just you're an Arsenal fan and either you think he's going to be in, you think that either we should keep hold of him here, or you think maybe we should move on from him. Why we have to label these things is ridiculous. But even the staunchest of people that would want him to continue on, which I have been at times, should not be sitting here and saying, oh, it was City. Oh, wow, we only lost 1-0. Like, they're not defences of that display. The passing was dreadful. The final ball was terrible. The defending was laughable. Hector Bellerin was one of the worst displays I've seen from him, and Holding. And Marie was terrible. And I saw a lot of people really turn around at the start of the game and saying they were happy with the fact Marie was playing, and I can understand why, because he's done very well. But he was bad. Like, Marie was pretty bad today. And City utterly conducted that game exactly how they wanted it to. Exactly how they wanted it to. El Neni was El Neni. Like, how is El Neni still here? How is El Neni still an Arsenal player? How is he still an Arsenal player? How? How is he? I get that we have no other choice. I get that Ceballos needs a rest. I get that Partey's injured. But why? Why does it have to be El Neni? Why? Why? We surely have better. Like, surely there is other options. Even putting Callum Chambers at centre-back. Not centre-back, sorry. Even put him at DM at this moment in time, I'm more in favour of... No, that's stupid. I'll take that back. That's hyperbolic. I'm not going to go down that route. But I just... How can it be El Neni? How can it be El Neni? We've got a big job. Like, we've got a really, really, really big job to do this summer. Because We got to focus on closing the gap. And it's not about these games where you go, oh, it's Man City, so you're going to lose. But it's about how you perform in these games. In the game at Man City earlier on in the season when we lost 1-0, we performed okay in that game. Yes, we lost the game, but actually the performance, we were in it. Like we could have, there were chances we had. Aubameyang had a chance. Saka had a chance. We created nothing. Like, there was nothing in this game. It's not comparable. The scoreline is the same, but the games were completely different. And I really kind of expected us to play with some... Arteta, if we talk about Arteta for a second, the selections were odd. Like I get Pepe and Saka starting, but why are you playing Saka on the left? Why are we putting Pepe back on the right-hand side when it's not worked? That isn't learning from the mistakes. That's where even I can start to go, that's not right. That's silly. That doesn't make any sense. You've succeeded by putting Pepe on the left. I've sat here and gone, fair play, Arteta. You found a position for Pepe and it's worked. So why put him back on the right? Why do that? That doesn't make any sense to do that. It doesn't make any sense at all. So I didn't get that. I really, really didn't understand that. Aubameyang, the amount of times I've said Aubameyang in these Big Six games, how isolated he can be, how out of the game he can be. There's nothing else to say about Aubameyang's performance. It was dour. It was unimaginative. It was boring. It was expectant. It was predictable. Yeah, I don't know why Lacazette didn't start the game. I put into my lineup in the preview show, I wanted Lacazette because I thought he suited the game better and arguably did more when he came on than Aubameyang had in the whole game in that brief spell that we saw. Why the subs were so late? Why did we make changes so late? It wasn't working in the first half. We needed to make changes. We didn't make changes. I don't know why his substitutions is a really, really worrying factor of Arteta's management. It really is because he just doesn't seem to, which is weird because he was hailed as someone that tactically understood the game and made the right choices at Man City. But at Arsenal, the subs just aren't clicking. They're not making sense. They don't work. Bringing Willian on at times, not today, but previously. Why? I really question that. I don't understand that. I don't really get why. I really don't. I really, really, really don't get why at all. Let's see if I can change the scoreline. Yeah, because I'm really getting bugged by it. I'm really getting bugged by why I can't change the damn scoreline. For goodness sake. Is there an error? Oh, look at that. It's an error. Why? Why can't I change it? Why is this so annoying? Why? Why can't I change it? It's so irritating. Can I change that? No, can't change that. I'm going to stop trying in a second. But I just don't get why I can't change it. Why Streamlab won't let me change the scoreline. It's really, really, really boring. Oh, dear me. Vincenzo says, we won't beat Leicester, we won't beat Middlesex Hotspurs, and we won't beat Everton. So we differently won't finish in the top 7. Those games are where I will sit back and go, look, they're the measure. That's what I'm going to look at. These games against Leicester, the game against Spurs, the game against West Ham, the game against Liverpool. They are the measures of where Arsenal are this season. They are the games in which if you want to get into the top of if you want to get anywhere near European qualification in the league, you need to be picking up points in those games. If we lose against Leicester, if we lose against these teams, it shows that Arsenal aren't ready with the squad that's there at the moment. And praying that we have Partey back, praying Partey gets fit and available for those matches. Without him, I really fail to feel like we won't do that. But first, we've got to focus about Benfica. That has got to be the main aim. We have got to smash this game against Benfica. We have to win this game because the Europa League is all that really is there for us this season. And I worry about it. I worry about this performance on Thursday, especially after the last 2 games, the first leg and now the City game, with how the mood is in the camp. It is not where you wanted it to be. After Leeds, it was high. It was flying high. The last 2 goals kind of dowered the mood, and maybe that really unsettled us going into that game on Thursday and then into this game. But you've got to stop conceding so early in games. We've done it too many times. Villa, we've got it done. We did it against Man City today. It's just happening too much. You can't concede so early on in games because it just kills it. Arsenal would just are the worst enemy of themselves sometimes. And it's so frustrating that we have to deal with it. Grief Hampton says, give Arteta next summer and judge him after that. Victor Edwards says, I'd so much rather lose 1-0 and look like we didn't try than lose 3 or 4 then we'll open up and play our game. We complain that Wenger never changed his game. This won't have ruined any confidence so far. Asoa says, just ride with the Arsenal Blues, Tom. The thing is, I would have loved if we'd have put in a really good performance and lost the game 1-0. Like, if we'd have lost 1-0 and put in a really good display, I could sit here and go, look, it's Manchester City. They're really good. And we tried our best and we were competitive throughout the game. But that's not what happened. There's no argument there. That is not a valid argument today because there was no performance. As Bean says, Man City didn't even try. They didn't have to try to beat us today. And that is what the problem is that we didn't try today. We really, really didn't try today. And that's frustrating for someone that has put so much effort into supporting the coach and supporting the ideas and what we've done in the big games and that we've been competitive in these games. That's something that showed progress. But that's just not what we saw today. We didn't see that fight. We didn't see that attitude. And I know that we are lacking certain personnel, and I know that we rotated heavily because we've got Benfica. But still, there was enough creativity. There was enough players. There was enough in that team to show something. Maybe not enough to win the game, no. But there was enough in that team to show something. I've seen teams play Man City in this good run, like we saw with Everton, like we've seen with other teams, and look like they could maybe nab something from the game because they've actually shown a bit of fight. We didn't. Our mind was on Benfica from the first minute of this game, and we knew the mentality in the team was wrong. It was set up wrong, and that will fall on Arteta partly. Arteta does take a fair considerable chunk of the responsibility of the performance. There is still a very large proportion of it that falls on the players that were very off, Bellerin off, passing off, 3 points off. It was really, really poor. The midfield was lacking. Xhaka got frustrated at parts, but his passing was the only kind of bit that I was looking at. Yeah, he's actually there's some of the passing in the first half, specifically in the second half of the first half, was good from Xhaka, but everything else about his game was quite off today. It's really, really, yeah. Vincenzo says, being honest, Tom, if our owners had any ambition for this club, they would have gone out and got a world-class manager. But instead, we behave like a very small club and bringing in a rookie coach. Vincenzo, that's not where you should be looking. Your judgment is askew there. Because if we had an owner that cared, they would be investing the money that they have, that we know they have, into the solid and good recruitment that should be done. First, identifying what we need and bringing in quality players for the money. We've spent money and we spent it wrong because we gave the wrong people the responsibility to bring in players. And people are going to sit here and say that we've now given that to Arteta. Well, I'm sorry, but Arteta and Edu are the people that have actually recognised that we need a centre-back and a centre midfielder, and they went out and got that. It's the people before that you need to be pointing questions at. We need to back what we have. We need to give Edu and Arteta the money to go out and sign the players that we need. Because in the short space of time that we've had them, they have gone out and they have signed a centre-back and a centre midfielder of real quality. But we haven't been backed enough with these two specifically to do it. Arsenal have spent money. I get that. Yes, that's the argument. We've spent loads of money. We've spent it so terribly. I'm so close to swearing. We've spent it so terribly. And now we've got a coach that has spent it well, spent it on Gabriel and Partey. Yes, you'll throw Willian in my face. I get it. I understand that. No one's perfect. There will be mistakes made. And hopefully they're minimal and they're not on big signings. But the money, the players that we spent the money on in Gabriel and Partey are good. Like there is no counter argument to that. They are good, the players that we spent the money on. So give them the money so we don't have to go penny pinching to try and find free talents like Willian. Try and spend 1.5 million on Runarsson. Bringing in Cedric. Like, give them the money because when they have it, they have done well in who they've brought in. That is fact. I don't see the counter argument to that. If someone feel free to try and tell me where they've gone wrong with that, because the only way we're going wrong now is we're not investing enough now in the manager and in the technical director who have shown to be good judges of that. That's the thing is. Alex Jones says Arteta didn't sign Xhaka or Bellerin. Clueless. Yeah, he didn't. You're right. 100%. He didn't. But he was then given as backup to Xhaka, El Neni, as backup to Bellerin, Cedric. He's not exactly got lots to play with, does he? It's not like he could just suddenly call on someone else to come into the centre of the midfield. So, yeah, he's playing these guys because he hasn't got much choice, unfortunately. He doesn't have much choice. I sense he should have gone with Cedric today based on form. But on pure paper, Cedric ain't better than Bellerin. On paper. Based on form right now, yeah, sure, pick him. And I hope he does. And I hope the reason that Bellerin played today is because Cedric's playing on Thursday. I'm hoping that's the reason. But in the money that we've given to Arteta and the money we've given to Edu, they spent it well. They spent it on Gabriel and Partey. And there is no counter argument. Because when the thing is that they needed to bring in a forward player, and Willian was there on a free transfer, and there was no one in the world that thought he would be as bad as he has been this season. No one. Absolutely no one. But with what the money we had, they tried to do what they could, and they got some good players in. And then the players that they weren't able to spend much on, guess what? They're bad because they didn't have to. Because they're the cheap ones that we got. If you're serious, if the Cronkies are serious about getting this club back to where it needs to be, then you need to give them more money now. Because you've wasted it. You've wasted it on people that didn't know what they were spending it on. You wasted it at the end of the Wenger era. You wasted it during the Unai Emery era. Don't waste it now. Don't waste that money now. It's going to come in the summer, and we've got a long, long way until we get to the summer, and we're going to have to deal with that with what we've got. But I'm just not going to sit here and say that what it is. I'm not going to say that it's the wrong move. I'm not going to sit here and say that we should be moving on from this coach now, because that's just not, it's just farcical to believe that, in my view, right now. It just is. He's not perfect. He's made mistakes. I understand that. But the things he does well, I can see progress, and that's a fact. Red Kem says, you're forgetting Willian and Runnison. Please listen to what I said. Please listen, because I've just talked about that. Please. I've had 90 minutes of you winding me up. I don't need this. I don't need people not listening to what I'm saying. They were given money. They spent that money on Gabriel, on Partey. They still needed to bring in players in other areas. And you can tell how broke we are because all we did in January was the loans. We brought in Ryan on loan. We brought in Erdegaard on loan. We couldn't afford to go out and bring in a forward player more than Willian because he was free. He was there. That's what we could do. That's what Arteta had available. That's what Edu had available from the board, from what the money was allowing them to do. You can sit here and say Willian's been a terrible, terrible signing, and you're spot on. Yes, he is a terrible, terrible signing. But we had it's not like we could go anywhere else. We couldn't afford to go anywhere else. We had no other money to do anything else because we'd spent it on Gabriel. Well, we're going to spend it on Gabriel, and we wanted to bring in one of Partey or Aouar. It was very clear from what was suggested at the end of the window. And the loans in January, as Bo points out, were good. Good pieces of business. Erdegaard and Ryan, good pieces of business. That's the thing. And then we lose Partey this season, and we get things go against us, against Wolves and against Villa, and things could be very different right now. We're still only 6 points off Liverpool, which is crazy. It's crazy. Yeah. It's Fubar says, why is today about squad planning? Because unfortunately, that's where the conversation goes to. There's a lot to be positive about. Today is not the day to focus on to say that he needs to go and all this. It's not the day for that, because it's the context of what we saw today is not demanding of that. We don't have, unfortunately, we don't have the resources available right now to do any much more than what we are currently doing. I just don't see it. I don't see another coach coming in and getting a hell of a lot more out of this group. I just don't see it. We've had 3 coaches over the last 3 years that have not progressed this team. And Arteta included in that, because based on league position, you're saying that we're not progressing right now. But I think there is a lot more mitigating circumstances around Arteta, and I think there is a lot more positives around this situation with Arteta currently. In a year's time, if we're backed in if we're backed in the summer and we're still sitting in the same position, then yes, I will turn around and say, this isn't working and we need to move on. And it wasn't a case of being wrong now. It was a case of giving the patience and looking what's happened and looking and thinking there's enough for me here to make me want to commit for another season. Because the people that want him out now, there's a large proportion that wanted him out after we won the FA Cup. And that's the real sad state of affairs, is that he was written off beforehand. So it's not justified at the moment. And those people aren't justified at all. The situation that we're in is that we've come off the back of a really bad performance against Man City, which we lost 1-0. And it's a very different 1-0 performance to what it was at the Etihad Stadium, where we did show fight. And one of the things that we've progressed in under Arteta is that we've looked more competitive against the big six sides, hence why we went to Man United and won, hence why we beat Chelsea on Boxing Day. We've been more competitive, we've been in these games. But today was a really bad one. We chalk it up, we move on. We'll go to Benfica, we'll see what happens. But next season, I'm counting on it. And once we get to the end of the season, if it's decided that Arteta's to carry on, I hope every single one of you watching this video gets behind him and supports him, and hopes that he turns this round. Because as soon as anybody, and I mean anybody, would rather Arteta go than hoping he turns it round, you're not an Arsenal fan. It's as simple as that. Because you're not any longer supporting the club that you claim to. So that is where it should be. Everyone should hope he turns it round. He might not. And in a year's time, I think there'll be enough evidence to make a strong and solid judgment on whether that is the case or not. Right now, there isn't enough evidence for me. That's my view. That's my opinion. And I'm sure it'll be discussed a lot further down the line. We go to Benfica on Thursday and we hope that we can get through to the next rounds. I feel like we've got enough to beat Benfica. I feel like we showed that in the first leg, that we were unfortunate, I think, only to come out of a draw. We created enough chances and we should have won the game. And next Thursday, hopefully we can do that. If we don't, it's going to be horrific. It's going to be really, really bad. Really, really bad. I'm going to wrap things up there for sure. And I'll be back tomorrow for the podcast, 8:30, with Drew and Adam and French are going to be on 8:30 p.m. UK time. That's it. If you've got any comments, then you can leave them in the comment section. I don't know why I lingered so long on that. But yeah, it's been a pleasure to speak to you, kind of, as always. And other than that, I'll see you again very, very soon. And as always, up the Arsenal. Drop a like, subscribe if you're new, of course.